The father of JonBenet Ramsey is finally telling his story 15 years after her murder. John Ramsey has written a new book about his journey from grief to grace. We're going to talk with him in just a moment, but first, a look back at his story.
JonBenet Ramsey!
The 1996 murder of JonBenet Ramsey shocked and captivated the nation. The 6-year-old beauty pageant contestant was found in the basement of her Boulder, Colorado home on Christmas Day. With a ransom note but no signs of forced entry, investigators and the media immediately focused on her parents, John and Patsy Ramsey.
To those of you who may want to ask, let me address very directly, I did not kill my daughter, JonBenet.
Critics of the investigation pointed to mistakes made by the Boulder Police Department. Clues were lost when they did not adequately secure the crime scene and improperly collected forensic evidence. Through years of scrutiny and investigations, the Ramseys always maintained their daughter was killed by an intruder. In 2006, Patsy Ramsey lost a long battle with ovarian cancer. She was buried next to JonBenet. 2 years later, in 2008, the Boulder District Attorney's Office announced the Ramseys were no longer suspects in their daughter's death, citing new analysis of DNA evidence. John Ramsey's new book is titled The Other Side of Suffering, the story of how he survived this double tragedy and learned to hope again. John, thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We were just commenting on how strange it seems that 15 years have passed. I'm wondering what that feels like for you. Does that feel like a long time?
Well, it seems like it was really just yesterday in many respects. It's hard to believe it was 15 years ago.
One of the things that strikes me is we talked about how you and your wife were considered suspects for 12 years.
Yeah.
As you're going through this tragedy of losing your daughter, what does it feel like to have people think of you as someone who may have killed her?
Well, it was interesting because, of course, in the beginning, you know, the crushing blow was the loss of our child. So the rest of this, the craziness was just noise level in our lives. It didn't matter. We'd lost our child. But we received so much compassion from our fellow man. You know, we'd be out for dinner or out on the street walking, and people would stop us and give us hugs and apologize. And it was overwhelming. And you know, people asked me, what was it like to be out in public, you know, thinking that people would be hateful, but they weren't. They were kind, and it was a really uplifting experience to realize the compassion that our fellow man would show to someone who's hurting.
In the book, you describe the scene when you find your daughter in the basement. I can't imagine what this was like to go back and relive all of this again. Why write this book now?
Well, I wanted it to be an encouragement, not necessarily a recap of what happened, but an encouragement of how do you recover when you're thrown a curveball in life, both in terms of how you view the future, your hope, your spiritual journey, all those things that are impacted. And I dealt with that and made some mistakes, and I wanted to share my experiences with people.
You say you made some mistakes. Was it a mistake then, in your estimation, to have JonBenet participate in pageantry?
Well, you know, at the time, Patsy and JonBenet did it. They had fun with it. It was just something, a mother-daughter thing, and they didn't really take it terribly seriously. There was an element in the environment that people did take it seriously, and I didn't care for that particularly.
Did you ever voice that concern?
No, and I probably should have. But, you know, Patsy had recovered from ovarian cancer. She frankly didn't know how long she had to live, how much time she had to spend with her daughter. So I think she was trying to pack a lot in to each day. And so I let them have fun.
And now we have these shows on TVs like Toddlers and Tiaras. Do you have a warning for parents about whether this is a good idea?
Well, I've not watched those shows, but other than just catch snippets of them as I'm surfing channels. But no, that's pretty bizarre. You know, children need to be children. And, you know, what Patsy's philosophy is to let her children try what they think they might like to try, to see what they're good at. And JonBenet was an extremely extroverted little girl. So that was an avenue for her to express that capacity. But if that's not your child's gifting, then no, it's certainly not to put them on public display. That's not good.
It's a really interesting book, John, and you talk so much about moving forward with life. I know you're recently remarried, so I'm glad to hear that things have moved along for you and you've really found a good place.
They have.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you.